Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to our explainer covering the incredibly complex, record-breaking, and, well, ultimately tragic life of the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Whether you mostly know him for his gravity-defying dance moves, or maybe the intense controversies surrounding his private life, his impact on the 20th century is just completely undeniable. Today, we're exploring the historical record to understand exactly how a young boy from Indiana became a global phenomenon, and what his legacy means for us today. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the rise of the Jackson 5, his breakout as a solo artist, his years as a true global phenomenon, his work as a great humanitarian, the struggles and controversies, and finally, This Is It and his enduring legacy. Let's get started. Section 1, Rise of the Jackson 5, Early Life and Motown. So, Michael Joseph Jackson was born in 1958 in Gary, Indiana. He was the eighth of 10 kids in an African-American working-class household. And get this, he made his public debut when he was just 6 years old. But it's absolutely crucial to understand that this early rise was forged in a really harsh environment. During rehearsals, his father, Joe Jackson, physically and emotionally abused him. Michael actually recalled later on that Joe would often just sit there with a belt in his hand, ready to punish any little mistake. But despite this incredibly grueling environment, his undeniable talent shone through. By late 1965, he was sharing lead vocals, and in August 1967, the group won a weekly amateur night competition at the famous Apollo Theater in Harlem. Rolling Stone would later describe the young Michael as a prodigy with overwhelming musical gifts. But keep this in mind as we go forward. This early environment, forged under intense pressure and abuse, really set the stage for his lifelong, relentless pursuit of perfection. The group's ascent was just breathtaking. They signed to Motown in 1969, and executives actually used Diana Ross to officially introduce them to the public. By January 1970, their single I Want You Back hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. They literally became the first group in history to have their first 4 records reach #1. That's huge. They were a cutting-edge example of Black crossover artists, gaining massive appeal across all demographics. And through it all, Michael quickly emerged as the charismatic lead singer and main attraction. He even helped popularize the robot dance with a performance on Soul Train. Moving right along to Section 2, Breaking Out Solo and the Quincy Jones Era. In 1978, Michael starred in the movie musical The Wiz, and this is actually where he connects with legendary producer Quincy Jones. When Michael asked Quincy to help him find a producer for his adult solo record, a powerful creative bond was formed. Now, the industry doubted Michael could get any bigger than his Jackson 5 days, to which Quincy simply replied, "We'll see." Together, they collaborated on the 1979 album Off the Wall. Quincy used cutting-edge studio technology to build this vibrant new sound around Michael's distinctive vocals. And the album was a smash. It earned Jackson a Grammy. Yet, surprisingly, Michael was disappointed. He felt it underperformed and was left hungry for a level of record-shattering success that the world had literally never seen before. Which brings us to Section 3, the global phenomenon, Thriller and Bad. Now, what's really interesting here is that massive number, 37. That is the staggering number of weeks his 1982 album Thriller topped the Billboard 200. Released in November 1982, Thriller shattered every possible expectation, becoming the best-selling album in history with an estimated 70 million copies sold globally. But the big takeaway here is that it wasn't just music, it was a total visual spectacle. The music videos for Thriller, Beat It, and Billie Jean transformed the medium into a serious art form, and they famously broke down racial barriers and popular entertainment on MTV. Essentially, Michael Jackson became a dominant, inescapable force in global pop culture. Following Thriller, he somehow had to follow up the impossible, right? And that brings us to the Bad era in 1987. Notice the really striking duality of this period. On the outside, Michael embraced an aggressive exterior. Black leather, excessive buckles, silver spikes, and this edgy bad boy persona. But the interior, the actual themes of the album itself, were far from hostile. He was singing about world peace, human connection, and advocating for justice in songs like Man in the Mirror. So his outfit basically became a visual metaphor for his evolving identity, an armored rebel with a purpose, masking a deeply sensitive soul. Across this unprecedented run of defining albums, from Off the Wall to Dangerous, he just entirely dominated the charts. But, as often happens, success brought friction. During the Bad sessions, growing creative tension emerged with Quincy Jones. Michael wanted greater creative control and pushed to incorporate emerging trends like hip-hop, fearing that Quincy wasn't really in tune with the fast-moving music landscape.
This incredible drive for reinvention eventually led Michael to part ways with Quincy for his 1991 album Dangerous, so he could continue pushing his own artistic boundaries. Section 4, The Great Humanitarian and His Philanthropy.
$500 million. Let that sink in. By some estimates, this is a staggering amount Michael Jackson donated to charity during his lifetime. Now, why does this matter? Because he completely set a new standard for celebrity generosity, truly paving the way for the modern era of celebrity philanthropy we see today. His desire to heal the world was honestly just as intense as his desire to entertain it. And the milestones are just incredible to look at. When he was severely burned in a Pepsi commercial accident in 1984, he donated his entire $1.5 million settlement straight to the burn center that treated him. He co-wrote We Are the World to fight global hunger. He founded the Heal the World Foundation in 1992. He was actually recognized by Guinness World Records for supporting 39 different charities. And, remarkably, he was twice nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. His global impact extended far beyond just writing checks. He was constantly visiting sick children in hospitals and arranging massive benefit concerts. Section 5, Struggles and Controversies. The Weight of Fame. Michael once stated, "My youth was lonely." As we move from the mid-1980s onward, his extreme fame gave way to really intense public scrutiny. The unprecedented numbers of his success contrasted so sharply with his profound personal loneliness. His physical appearance began to change noticeably due to vitiligo and cosmetic procedures, and he became increasingly isolated from the outside world, retreating almost entirely into his Neverland ranch. Now, this isolation was compounded by severe legal and personal challenges. In 1993, he faced deeply serious allegations of child sexual abuse. He vehemently denied them. The case was settled out of court and no criminal charges were filed. A decade later, in 2005, he was tried and fully acquitted of further abuse charges. Alongside navigating these highly publicized and grave legal battles, he was also facing mounting financial issues, IRS disputes, and a severe reliance on sedatives and pain medication to combat his chronic insomnia, not to mention the extreme physical toll his performances took on his body.
Section 6, This Is It and His Legacy. The final chapter.
In March 2009, looking to mount a massive comeback and regain his financial footing, Michael announced a concert residency at London's O2 Arena. As he said at the press conference, "These will be my final show performances in London, my final curtain call." The sheer demand for this comeback was just unfathomable. It was initially planned for 10 shows, but it rapidly expanded to 50 shows to accommodate the millions of fans trying to buy tickets. Think about that level of cultural gravity for a second. Despite years of controversies, over 750,000 tickets sold out in hours, completely crashing the ticketing servers. The timeline of this final chapter moved tragically fast. Rehearsals began in April, moving to the Staples Center in Los Angeles by June. Footage from these rehearsals highlighted a stark contrast: his enduring, undeniable talent and perfectionism on stage, alongside moments of visible physical frailty. Then, on June 25, 2009, just weeks before opening night, Michael Jackson tragically passed away at the age of 50 from acute propofol intoxication administered by his personal physician. The immediate aftermath of his death sent absolute shockwaves across the globe. In the US alone, his catalog sold over 422,000 albums in just the week following his death. His memorial service was viewed by hundreds of millions of people worldwide. The rehearsal footage was compiled into the This Is It documentary, which grossed $261 million. Posthumously, his estate successfully resolved his massive debts, and even to this day, he remains one of the top-earning deceased celebrities in the world. So we are left to ponder this. What is the enduring legacy of a man who gave the world so much, yet lived so incredibly isolated from it? Michael Jackson's story is one of breathtaking genius and deep, deep tragedy. He leaves behind a highly complex legacy that we will undoubtedly be analyzing for generations to come. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep learning.